Okay, want to thank everybody for being here. This is our just June the 11th. Yeah, June the 11th budget work session for High Point City Council. Council members present in the room are me, Mayor Jay Wagner, Councilman Tyrone Johnson, Britt Moore, Cyril Jefferson, Chris Williams, and Victor Jones. I think we have Wesley Hudson and Monica Peters remotely. And staff, and Councilman Holmes also, I believe if he's not remoted in yet, he will be shortly, I do believe. Also have various.
I'm here.
You there, Michael?
I'm here.
Okay, Monica, are you there? Don't hear Monica. Mr. Hudson, Wesley, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so it looks like we got everybody so far, but Monica Peters, maybe she'll be joining in shortly. We will go ahead and begin our discussion. We had some folks ask us when you speak to say your name before you speak, so that the folks who are listening but can't see us will know who's speaking. We've gotten good at recognizing each other's voices, but not so much the public. So let's try to remember to do that. I'll begin then by turning it over to Randy McCaslin, the interim city manager, and then we'll proceed from there. So Randy, the meeting is yours for now.
Okay. Following our last study session, we took the input from the city council, and we have come back with what we hope is an acceptable Plan B. And Eric's going to present that, the gist of that plan, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Thank you, Randy. I am passing out and have downloaded on OneDrive a kind of a detailed sheet, but I'll go over the plan of that over on this spreadsheet, on this PowerPoint. So as Randy said, we have come back with a Plan B. This Plan B takes into account the things that we heard last week. First of all, we have reduced the proposed budget in order that the city would not have to have a 1 cent tax rate increase. So that's keeping the current tax rate at the current level of 64.75 cents. And that reduces general fund revenue by about $984,000. And you can see on the chart where we stand with being just under Greensboro, 1 penny over Winston-Salem. Next, we have worked very closely with the museum staff, with the library staff, and with the Historical Society. And this proposal does restore operations at the museum. It does make some reductions in their current levels of operations and staffing, but this proposal would increase the budget by $430,000. In order to accomplish this, we do reduce operating days at the museum from the current Tuesday through Saturday schedule to Wednesday through Saturday. One of the council members asked last week if we had a breakdown of when the average days per week the traffic comes into the museum. You see here, Tuesdays we average 35, Wednesday 30, and this is for the period of March 2019 through February 2020. Wednesdays 31, Thursdays 27, Friday 30, Saturday being at 50. We understand Tuesday is a larger day by average, but when I looked at the individual daily numbers, there were 3 larger groups that came in on Tuesdays, 3 days out of that entire year that really skewed the average. They had over 100 people. My guess is that was a field trip day for a school. So if you take those out of there, it becomes much more of a flat equation, I guess. So the days of the week don't really make that big of a difference, except for Saturdays, markedly a higher attendance day, as you can expect. In addition to that change in day of week operation, We would close the museum store. When I say close, I say we would not have a city paid staff member that would operate that store. Although the Historical Society has indicated that they could potentially staff that with volunteers. Just so you know, the museum store, the merchandise in there is paid for by the Historical Society. It's sold, any profits go to the Historical Society. So it is truly a Historical Society operation. So that's the proposal there. They would also use volunteers to cover the front desk, greeting visitors as they come in and taking attendance. We would continue to keep the meeting room open for groups, not only Historical Society and city groups, but outside groups. But we would ask that, and the library has agreed to use one of their staff members to help schedule that. And then this proposal would also continue all online programs at the museum. As I said last week, those have grown quite a bit since in this past year, so we would continue that offering to our citizens. This proposal would maintain a staff of 5 full-time positions. However, we would eliminate the following positions: a full-time store and visitor services supervisor position. That's a full-time 40-hour per week position. It would also eliminate a part-time administrative specialist position. That's one of the positions that does a lot of the scheduling of the room and that type of thing. Obviously, the store and visitor services operates the store and helps supervise the 2 part-timers that work there. And then we would replace the part-time custodial position that's 30 hours a week with a contract for custodial services that would have a savings that's similar to what we've done at our rec centers in the past few years. We would also eliminate 8 part-time non-benefit positions. The 2 store clerks that average about 8.5 hours per week between the 2 positions. And then the 6 part-time museum park guide positions. However, and those are mainly on Saturdays, but 5 hours per week. In speaking with the Historical Society, they felt that was something that they didn't want to lose, and that they are considering that they would grant funds to the city to continue that service. What my recommendation would be is we keep these positions in the budget, but we don't budget for them. We don't have any funds associated with them. If the Historical Society is able to come back with a donation, we would bring that to you all for a budget amendment and then fund those positions at that time. In addition to restoring the museum, we would restore funding at the current level at Moorhead Recreation Center. And we would restore the 401k 1% match. 280,000 is the general fund portion only, but we would restore that throughout the city. To be able to pay for these things, obviously we have to make some other cuts elsewhere. We would reduce the supply and vehicle replacement budgets throughout the general fund. That reduction would be $400,000. We would extend the targeted hiring freeze from 6 months to 12 months. That's a reduction of about $955,000.
Eric, before you leave that slide, this is Randy McCaslin. In restoring funding to Moorhead Recreation Center, that's not just the funding, that would cover the existing personnel and all existing programming and hours of operation. Correct. Just want to make sure everybody has that.
We had some capital projects that we discussed last week that we felt like we could defer and reduce. So we would defer the 2 projects that we had out at the stadium, the batter sign, the hydraulic bridge project. That's a reduction of $214,000. We would reduce the parking deck improvements. We had that in at $175,000. This would take out the automated system to help people pay for parking, but it would keep in some funds for lighting and other improvements at $50,000. We would reduce the $100,000 traffic calming funding that we had in there. We would reduce that by $50,000. And we would reduce the stadium capital reserve fund that we set aside money each year for future maintenance out there, that we would reduce that by 180,000. That's how we accomplished adding those things back in. That if those proposals are accepted, we would be able to bring you a balanced general fund budget. Obviously, a balanced budget throughout citywide budget, but in particular the general fund budget. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have or any concerns.
Anyone have questions, Eric?
Eric, the targeted hiring freeze encompasses how many positions again?
Well, I mean, that's a moving target number. We looked at our vacancy savings, or our vacant position as of last Friday. In the general fund, we had 45 vacant positions. 15 of those positions were police and fire. And one of those positions had a pending offer, so it was one that was kind of in the process. We had 29 positions as of last Friday that were vacant. If we were to freeze those positions right now for the entire next fiscal year, our savings would be about $1.6 million. We know that some of those positions we will need to fill, and we also know that we have other positions that will become vacant throughout the year. So we felt confident that between those two factors that we could be able to realize that $2.1 million total in vacancy savings.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I only got one question, but I can't think to come up. So I'm going to kind of borrow Cyril's. And I don't think you could answer this, I would say, Eric, but probably more or less the chief could help me with this. And the finance department.
When you talk about the field operations?
Yeah, just a question on the field operations when it comes to, there's been a change in like a reduction in the southern part of the city and an increase on the northern. And that even talks of, I guess the change in manpower in those two. I just want to ask the question, because the south is, it went down at 148 to 85, and the north went up. And my question is mostly when we look at the heat map of the city and so far as where certain things are committed. I hadn't been informed that it's changed. I think the concentration is still on certain parts, like in East Central and on the South Side and those pieces. So I just wanted to kind of get an explanation of why the change in those manpower and dollars and so forth.
Okay. We'll have to.
Yeah, we'll.
Get that in.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
with the chief, we can just answer tomorrow.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, this is Chris Williams. I can say that.
This is Cyril Jefferson. So where we're in the summary personnel, city management is adding a position. Is that at diversity, equity, and inclusion positions? Okay. So how do we have that structured right now as far as what's doing what? I mean, because I think the last time we spoke it was way back then.
I'm not sure I understand how you mean.
It's just falling underneath city management and just.
Right now, we put it under our budget. It's got to be developed. We have a draft policy or a draft job description from HR now. I had a long conversation with the Greensboro city manager today on how they operated their office and what duties it had. So we'll develop all that together. And should we need to move it out of our office, we can certainly do that. But right now, while it's being developed, we just put it in our office.
It's just kind of
This is,
for your money for now.
That's correct.
Okay. Go ahead, Michael.
this is Councilman Holmes. Randy, how soon do you think you'll have that proposed JD ready, and before we actually go into a search function for it, will council get a chance to review and make any adjustments or suggestions to that job description prior to going live with it?
I'm certain we can, once we finalize it and we get comfortable with it, I certainly don't have any problem with sending it out to council and for their comments. That should be done in the next week or 10 days anyway.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else have questions for staff?
This Councilman Jones, I just like to say we accomplished a miracle with this budget. And I really want to thank, I said privately to them yesterday, but I want to thank the Historical Society, Jordan Sarge, and all the different people who communicate with council, Eric Omeda, the meeting you guys had. Their collaboration with the city is just keep some awesome resources open for our citizens. It would have been possible for them coming to the table.
Yeah, I'll echo that too. There's in the discussions I had with the folks from the Historical Society, they were very willing they were very understanding of the financial situation that the city's in due to the economic shutdown from the coronavirus, and we're very willing to work with us and in finding some kind of a way. Do I want to say a way out, a way through, some kind of a way to get that done? So I want to commend them, but most of all, I really want to commend the staff for searching around and finding places where we can find savings in the budget and getting us to a position that we feel like we've got something workable. Of course, the public hearing for the budget is going to be on Monday at the city council meeting. I encourage anybody who, we are still under kind of lockdown rules. So if anyone out there is listening and wants to submit comments, we're accepting those by email and also by voicemail. They will go through the city clerk's office, and all of those comments are being received and disseminated out to the city council for review. And all of those comments will be placed in the record during the public hearing. So it's not our traditional public hearing where we're in council and we're listening to everyone directly speaking to us, but we still do want to make sure everybody is submitting their comments and their questions between now and then. We don't expect a final vote on the budget to be until the 22nd of June. At this point, I suppose that date could change, but we do expect a final vote on that date. So even after the public hearing, if there are questions, we'll still be able to receive those as well. Is there anyone else here who has any questions at this point? I guess I'm asking, do we need to adjourn, or are we done for the day?
Well, real quick, I would like to say, Councilman Tyrone Johnson, this is definitely a better meeting than we had last week. So, I mean, my thumbs up to the staff and to the Historical Society on helping make this happen. Definitely. Just wanted to say that.
I got a question, Randy.
Yes.
How long have you been in
Local government,
yeah,
getting close to 41.
okay. The question I've asked is a lot of senior staff. Have you experienced any time like this before?
Just like this, absolutely not.
Okay. Just want that to go out there in the air so the public understands this is unique.
Yeah, I think
Very, very unique.
at least from the time, this is the mayor, at least from the time that I've been on the city council, I don't think I've ever, I don't remember a hole. That started in 2012. I don't remember a hole bigger than maybe $2 to $2.5 million. So we're almost 3 times the biggest budget hole I've ever seen. And I don't know, you were on council around 2010 when we were in the crash, but I don't know if that was even bigger or not.
No, well, this is Councilman Moore and the other factors that are adding to this, and the uncertainty is, this is a unprecedented time that I can think of.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, I want to I want to let her, assure everybody out there that the budget process is not over. We're still listening. And we're still talking amongst ourselves and working with staff to try to get to a final budget. But unless somebody else has something, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, it's a motion by Councilman Jones, seconded by Councilman Moore, and I'll have to call the roll on that. So Councilman Holmes, how do you vote on motion to adjourn?
Aye.
Councilman Johnson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Peters?
Aye.
Councilman Moore?
Aye.
Councilman Williams?
Aye.
Councilman Hudson? Councilman Jones?
All right.
Councilman Jefferson?
Just before we adjourn, before I do that, I want to shout out everyone who came out on Sunday. I don't think we've had a chance to say that as a council. Sunday was beautiful, where the city and ministers conference and NAACP and there was so many more HBU, so many more folks were all together for that to take place. Shout out to the city manager and police chief and everyone who helped make that happen. I thought it was very beautiful. I've been hearing nothing but positive feedback ever since then. So kudos to everyone. I'm an aye.
And Councilman Jefferson is an aye and the mayor's an aye. So by a vote of 9-0, we are now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
United High.
All right. Good night, everybody.
That's it.